6. The hypocrites. The poets are pursued by the fiends and escape them by sliding down the sloping bank of the next pit. They are now in the 6th Bolgia. Here the hypocrites, weighted down by the great leaden robes, walk eternally round and round a narrow track. The robes are brilliantly gilded on the outside and are shaped like a monk's habit. For the hypocrite's outward appearance shines brightly and passes for holiness, but under that shows the terrible weight of his deceit which the soul must bear through all eternity. The poets talk to 2 jovial friars and come upon Caiaphas, the chief sinner of that place. Caiaphas was the high priest of the Jews who counseled the Pharisees to crucify Jesus in the name of public expedience. He is punished by being himself crucified to the floor of hell by 3 great stakes, and in such a position that every passing sinner must walk upon him. Thus he must suffer upon his own body the weight of all the world's hypocrisy, as Christ suffered upon his body the pain of all the world's sins. The jovial friars tell Virgil how he may climb from the pit, and Virgil discovers that Malachida lied to him about the bridges over the 6 Bolgia. Silent, apart, and unattended we went as minor friars go when they walk abroad, one following the other. The incident recalled the fable of the mouse and the frog that Aesop tells, for compared attentively point by point, pig is no closer to hog than the one case to the other. And as one thought springs from another, so the comparison gave birth to a new concern, at which I caught my breath in fear. This thought ran through my mind: these fiends through us have been made ridiculous, and have suffered insult and injury of a kind to make them smart. Unless we take good care, now rage is added to their natural spleen. They will hunt us down as greyhounds hunt the hare. Already I felt my scalp grow tight with fear. I was starting back in terror as I said, "Master, unless we find concealment here and soon, I dread the rage of the fiends. Already they are yelping on our trail. I imagine them so vividly, I can hear them now." And he, "Were I a pane of leaden glass, I could not summon your outward look more instantly into myself than I do your inner thoughts. Your fears were mixed already with my own, with the same suggestion and the same dark look, so that of both I form one resolution. The right bank may be sloping. In that case we may find some way down to the next pit, and so escape from the imagined chase." He had not finished answering me thus, when, not far off, their giant wings outspread, I saw the fiends come charging after us. Seizing me instantly in his arms, my guide, like a mother wakened by a midnight noise to find a wall of flame at her bedside, who takes her child and runs, and more concerned for him than herself, does not pause even to throw a wrap around her, raised me, turned, and down the rugged bank from the high summit flung himself down supine onto the slope which walls the upper side of the next pit. God damn. Water that turns the great wheel of a landmill never ran faster through the end of a sluice at the point nearest the paddles as down that hill. My guide and master bore me on his breast, as if I were not his companion but his son, and the soles of his feet had hardly come to rest on the bed of the depth below, when on the height we had just left, the fiends beat their great wings. But now they just gave my guide no cause for fright, for the providence that gave them the 5th pit to govern as the ministers of its will takes from them their souls the power of leaving it. About us now, in the depths of the pit, we found a painted people, weary and defeated. Slowly in pain they paced it round and round. All wore great cloaks cut to as ample a size as those worn by the Benedictines of Cluny. The enormous hoods were drawn over their eyes. The outside is all dazzle, golden, and fair. The inside, lead, so heavy that Frederick's capes, compared to these, would seem as light as air. O weary mantle for eternity! We turned to the left again along their course, listened to their moans of misery. But they moved so slowly down their barren strip, tired of their burden, that our company was changed at every movement of their hip. And walking thus, I said, "As we go on, may it please you to look about among these people for any whose name or history may be known." And one who understood Tuscan cried to us there as we hurried past, "I pray you check your speed, you who run so fast through the sick air. It may be I who I am one who will fit your case. And at his words my master turned and said, Wait now, then go with him at his own pace. I waited there, and saw along that track 2 souls who seemed in haste to be with me, but the narrow way and their burden held them back. When they had reached me down that narrow way, they stared at me in silence and amazement, then turned to one another. I heard one say, This one seems, by the motion of his throat, to be alive, and if they were dead, how is it that they are allowed to shed their leaden coat? And then to me, O Tuscan, come to me to the college of the sorry hypocrites. Do not disdain to tell us who you are. And I was born and raised a Florentine on the great and lovely banks of Arno's waters. I go with the body that was always mine. But who are you, who are sighing as you go, distill in floods of tears that drown your cheeks? What punishment is this that glitters so? These burnished robes are of thick lead, said one, and are hung on us like counterweights, so heavy that we, their weary fulcrums, creak and groan. Jovial friars and Bulganese were we. We were chosen jointly by your Florentines to keep the peace, an office usually held by a single man. Near the Gardingo, one still may see the sort of peace we kept. I was called Catalano, he Lauderingo. I began, O friars, you're evil. And then I saw a figure crucified upon the ground by 3 great stakes, and I fell still in awe. When he saw me there, he began to puff great sighs into his beard, convulsing all over his body, and Friar Catalano followed my eyes, said to me, That one nailed across the road counseled by the Pharisees, that it was fitting that one man be tortured for the public good. Naked he lies, fixed there, as you see, in the path of all who pass. There he must feel the weight of all through all eternity. His father-in-law and the others of the council, which was a seed of wrath to all the Jews, are similarly staked for the same evil. Then I saw Virgil marvel for a while over the soul so ignominiously stretched on the cross of in hell's eternal exile. Then, turning, he asked the friar, If your law permit, can you tell us if somewhere along the right there is some gap in the stone wall of the pit, through which we may climb to the next brink without the need of summoning the black angels and forcing them to raise us from the sink? He, Nearer than you hope, there is a bridge that runs from the great circle of the scarp and crosses every ditch from ridge to ridge, except that in this it is broken. But with care you can mount the ruins which lie along the slope and make a heap on the bottom. My guide stood there, motionless for a while, with a dark look. At last he said, He lied about this business, who spears the sinners yonder with his hook. And the friar, Once at Bologna I heard the wise discussing the devil's sins. Among them I heard that he is a liar and the father of lies. When the sinner had finished speaking, I saw the face of my sweet master darken a bit with anger. He set off at a great stride from that place, and I turned from the weighted hypocrite to follow in the prints of his dear, dear feet.